So he will speak from his perspective, how they teach, what they do in regards of the communication, right? Because you are the head of the bachelor's degree program in media, computer sciences, and researches and teaches, and you teach in field of communication design. I mean, you can talk about relationship between journalists and programmers, how technology changes the thing, and how you try in short to meet these challenges, right?
Yes, but I talk more about the structure of our programs and lessons we learn from that.
Great.
Yeah?
That would be interesting. Okay. So.
Okay. As Tico mentioned, I'm coming from Cologne, and thank you. And I'm talking about the structure of our programs. But in addition to Peter's talk, there's an interesting project in Cologne. It's called Open Data Cologne. It's provided by the city council and some developers. And the message is, all data should be open, and everyone has to be able to use this data. And a few developers are working on that. For example, this is one of the results. It's a map of Cologne and the accidents. It's quite easy, but the next step is to show the map of Cologne and the accidents in correlation to the weather. It might be interesting if it rains, what happens, and in correlation with the time on the morning. And I think that's quite interesting because I'm a designer. We are interested in, is the color the right one? Is the transparency okay? Is the card okay? But we are not interested in the story. And I think that's your part. And I think data journalism is very interesting because there are so many numbers and so many stories in that numbers. But there must be anyone who wants to tell them. And that is not a developer. I'm a designer or a developer, and I can't do this. I have not the idea. But that's not my talk. I'm talking about some boring stuff. I'm at the University of Applied Sciences. My English is a bit poor, so if you don't understand me, please interrupt me. If you have questions, please interrupt me too. We have a few study programs, and I want to talk about some learnings from the different approaches. Or things that never to be done twice, maybe. I'm Christian Noss. I have two jobs at the moment. I'm designer, and one job is I'm managing partner of Clickmeister. Clickmeister is a small design company in Cologne. We are creating websites and web-based software for 13 years now. And today I'm here in my role as head of the bachelor program Computer Science and Media at the University of Applied Sciences. I'm teaching visual communications and web-based systems, and I'm a real web fan.
So one question is Infra.js?
Yes. Okay, Cologne, you should know four things. It's the Kölner Dom. It's a big cathedral in Cologne. Maybe you know the Erste FC, which is a quite successful it's a football club, okay? And maybe you know Carnival, it started yesterday. And maybe you know Kölsch. Kölsch is a certain kind of beer. If you look at that picture, I take it yesterday on the railway station, that is a combination between Carnival and beer. Yeah? And I'm standing there at the station and people all around me, Superman, elves, superheroes and people like that. People in fancy dresses. Okay, I have 4 topics. I would like to introduce you to some older study programs. They are running for over 10 years now. There are some fundamental questions in creating these programs, or if we create a new program. I would like to introduce you to our latest study program. And I would talk about some of the course and teaching concepts we are using at the moment. Let's start. The Bachelor and Master Program Computer Science and Media. I have more the media perspective, but the core is computer science. We are at the campus Gummersbach, which is a small town close to Cologne. When the students arrived, they think, hey, I'm in Cologne, but they have to go 50 kilometers to Gummersbach, and some are a bit disappointed. At the Faculty 10 Engineering and Computer Science, we have 4 bachelor programs and 2.5 master program with 1,300 students in computer science programs at the moment. And we are running this with 28 full-time professors.
Studies are in English?
Pardon?
Are studies in English or in German?
One program is in English. Two. Okay. As I mentioned, we have 4 bachelor programs. It's business informatics, technical computer science, general computer science, and best computer science and media. But the 4 programs all have one core. With core courses or core modules like mathematics, programming basics, theoretical informatics, operating systems, law, distributed systems, business administration, and things like that, for 4 programs. And each program has special courses. For example, in computer science and media, it's media production, visual communication, web technologies, human-computer interface, computer graphics, and things like that. We need this core in order to be able to provide 4 programs. Yeah? But this is an advantage, but it has a lot of disadvantages, but I'll tell you later. Okay, the bachelor program Computer Science and Media with 380 students takes 3 years. We have the concept, as I mentioned, one core and some media courses, which is balanced 50-50, I think. The media courses focuses on projects. The core courses, not. The standard course size is 5 credit points. The whole program has 180 credit points. The final exam has 30 credit points, so we have 150 credit points. And that means we have a lot of courses. We have a drop-off rate of 35%. That's quite high, but in computer science it's quite low. 50% are dropping in computer science. And we have a standard period of study. Students of 10%. Only 10% of our students are able to finish studies within these 3 years. That's not so good. Okay, what are the goals of this program? We want the students to put them on a professional level in creating, development, evaluating, and running of complex systems in digital media context. And we want them to get self-directed learning skills, because this field develops very quick and they have these skills to develop themselves. There are some occupational fields that are working after the program as web developers, as UX consultants, as app developers. Some of them do a master program. Okay, we have a master program 2. It runs 2 years. We have about only 50 students on it. It has the same basic concept, one core and media courses, but the balance is another, it's 30 to 70%. We have 2 other master programs, and the focus is on projects 2 and on scientific working skills, because we want to prepare the students for PhD. Drop-off rate 5%, quite better. Standard period of study 40%. Not perfect, but better. Okay. Okay, we want the master goals are pushing the students onto a management level, management skills, and improving the scientific working skills in order to prepare them for PhD. The occupational fields are the same as of the bachelor program. Okay, these are the older programs, and there are some fundamental questions or challenges. First, we have a lot of courses or modules, how to align them to the program's goals. Especially the core courses, because there are different programs, there are 4 programs with different goals, and how can we align, especially the core courses, onto the program's goals of our study path. Another problem or question is how to manage dependencies between single courses. If you need in your course learning outcomes from another course, how can we manage that? Then, a question on the curriculum strategy. What do we focus on? Do we try more on generalism, or do we try to educate specialists? The students mostly want to be a specialist. They want skills in depth. We are focusing more on generalism.
More on generalism?
Yeah, to have a broad view on a big picture, and not to be a specialist in CSS3. Another fundamental questions on this curriculum strategy is buzzwords or long-term designations, or in other words, agility or constancy. What are the names of our courses and modules? Is it responsive design, which is quite new, or is it basics and visual communication, or something like that? At the moment, we are focusing on that. The problem is you can't use it for marketing. And students like to be in a course with a very modern content with a very modern name. But we do not provide this at the moment. Yeah, it's like that. Another problem, I think it's your problem too, in the daily work it's very simple, but how can we provide software, devices, and servers? Students like to work on their own machine. But what's here? We have a lot of special software, Adobe products, for example. How can we provide it? Do we have own computers? Do we provide computers? Do we provide software? At the moment, most of the students are working on their own machines with illegal copies of software. Is it okay?
Yes.
Yes. But in our perspective, it's not. We cannot create a curriculum without providing software, devices, and servers. The next step, we have a new program, and I think some of the fundamental questions are answered in this new program. I think it doesn't fit to your needs, but the idea is, or there's some nice ideas. We have a master program, Web Science. It has 40 students. It started 2 years ago. It runs 3 years, and it's an educational degree course. And that program we focus on projects and on scientific work, and it has an interdisciplinary approach. That means, it's an international program. There are most online courses. The students have to come to Cologne only for the kick-off workshops and for the final exam each term. And there are 2 years professional experience necessary. The students have different backgrounds, and that's the idea. We have designers, we have computer scientists, Scientologists, business economists starting this master program. And the course or module concept is quite interesting because we have quite large modules with 12 credit points, and the pink one are required, and the other one you have the choice. You can choose 4 or 5. I'm a designer, for example. I don't need more design skills, but I need skills in web law because I have no idea. You can choose it. I switched to a course level on this module, and that's a trick. Each module has a few courses, and on this course level, it's also the pink one are required, and the other you can choose. Each course has 12 credit points. These are required, are 6 credit points, so you can choose 2 other courses that are fitting for you. Another course example, because the program focuses on projects, a course can be a project or an advanced seminar too, and they have 6 credit points. And this module, the module design, it has also 12 credit points, 9 are required, and you can choose one of the other courses. The good thing is that each module has a module owner, a person who is responsible for that module. For Foundations and Principles 1, it's Gerhard, for example. For web law, it's Hans Ludwig. They manage their module. And we have an advisory board with all of those, and they manage the final exam and the master thesis. Going down to the courses, that means the owner of the module is responsible for the required courses, and the other courses can be given by someone else. But the final exam is managed by the module owner, and it's over the whole content of the single courses. Therefore, Gerhard has to talk to Tom or Barbara or Toby. What are your learning outcomes, and how do I have to create the final exam? That's good. Another interesting thing is this web project development. It's a module with 24 credit points, quite large, and in this project you have to focus on one of these 5 modules. And the 2 professors, Christian, who is responsible for the web project development, And if I focus on social issues, Marion are running this project for me and do the accent for me. So they have to communicate too. What are the benefits of that structure? We have agility and constancy. We have buzzwords and long-term designations because the constancy are the modules. They are quite constant. But on the course level, we can be very agile. Imagine the design module. If there comes a new issue, for example, responsive design, we can put it into the module design as a course, 3 credit points. Quite easy. And we can use buzzwords for it. We don't have to use basics in visual communication. We can use responsive design, for example. Another benefit, there's more transparency and control on content. And there's a better alignment of the courses into the program's goals. Because we have the module manager who is responsible for one module or for one field, and he has to organize his module with the courses. And we have a better coordination between single courses because of this structure. But I think the best is that there's a structure for that, a given structure that the courses and the modules and the course and module owners have to communicate and to align their courses and modules. Okay. Web Science. I think it's a good concept. It runs for 2 years. We can measure the success not at the moment because it runs 3 years. But I think it works, and at the moment it works. There are some problems at the start, but the main idea is working. Okay, I have some teaching concepts we are using, and I think the teaching concept has a strong impact on the curriculum, and therefore I show some we are using. A very traditional concept, you know it all, lecture, practical course, exercise course, tutorial. In many cases it's a combination between lecture and practical course, or lecture and exercise course. Quite traditional or semi-traditional lecture workshop project. I use this.
Just one question. What's the difference between practical course and exercise course?
Between practical course and okay, sorry. Many students, 20 students, 10 students.
And tutorials are done by lecturers.
The tutorial?
Yeah.
By students.
By students.
The exercise course in many cases too.
Okay.
A semi-traditional concept, I use it for basics in visual communication. A lecture for the big picture. A workshop for the skills, in this case in Flash and ActionScript. And a project where they put it together and have to work on it. You know this seminar. And this is our hidden star. It's a concept students train students. It's a block of 3 or 4 or 5 days, and it focuses on skills. For example, on Flash, or Ruby on Rails, or Node.js. In 1 week, on holidays, with a lot of time, but it's done by students, and it works very, very good.
We have seen that at our university. I am from Georgia, University of Georgia.
Yeah.
On Saturday, we are teaching it to our students. For example, second grade students are teaching to first grade students some different topics or lectures.
Okay.
So it's great. But in some point, most of the students are not interested in that. But it's best. Some students are not interested in that. Learning.
Yeah.
And it's best.
Yeah. These students mostly are master students. These students mostly are bachelor students. It works very, very, very good. Another concept, I know if you know that, it's a flipped classroom concept. The idea is, especially if you are in the more traditional concept like that, students are sitting and listening and writing. Maybe they do a practical course, but if they are preparing for the final exam, the questions are coming. Oh, what that? I didn't understand this. Oh, who can I ask? And the idea of the flipped classroom is to flip the classroom. That means the lecture part is an online part with short videos, 15 minutes, and the students are coming to the university, to the course, and they already have seen the videos, and they're working on material, on questions, and they can ask their questions at the seminar or at the lecture. It works quite good for large groups, no? But I never tried it, but some colleagues tried it quite successfully. Another concept I use is in the developer scene, there's a format called Barcamp. It's like a little conference with short talks and trainings, and it's and we do it in the course web-based technologies. We have a lot of topics: CSS, HTML, JavaScript frameworks, and stuff like that. And we put groups of students together, 3 students, and every group is working on one topic, and create a small talk, 20 minutes, a training of an hour, a documentation, and questions for the final exam. And we have 8 days, the whole day. We have different tracks. That is a day. Oh.
Sure.
We have, that might be one day, we have different tracks each day. For example, we have here HTML. It's a basic, therefore we have 3 talks, but maybe in the afternoon we have here responsive design, and here JavaScript, and here agile management or something like that. So we have 3 tracks in 3 sessions. That works quite good. Barcamp style. Each morning, make a plan, who's there, what are the talks, what are the trainings. We have some specials each day, and it works quite fine, but it only works because we have the whole day. No other courses on that day. Okay, that's it. Thank you for listening.
One more question about
Bitte.
the flipped classroom.
Flipped classroom, yes.
Yeah, if I understand well, students are provided by the video. It's a lecturer part, and they are gathering together with the lecture for discussing and questioning the topic?
Yeah. There are videos, tutorials. This is the lecture part. There are some tasks and trainings they have to do, and then they go to the class in order to discuss it or to ask questions and something like that.
When they go to class, they are asking questions to each other or to...
No, to the lecturer.
The last one was a good one. The 10-day arc. It was quite nice.
Yeah, it's quite exciting.
In your MA program, you have students from diverse backgrounds. In your MA program, you have students like with very diverse backgrounds, like diverse and different skill sets. Does it create any difficulties for them because like some are better at programming or coding, some are not? So like even
The Barcamp style?
no, like generally in your MA program.
Yes, it creates problems.
And like how do you cope with?
It's a real problem because especially we focus on projects and we have the problems that we have students with more skills but quite advanced, and in many cases they do the project and the other ones are cooking coffee. Yeah?
How many people are in group?
On a project,
Yeah.
3 or 4, and that is a problem.
Yes.
It works better with a concept like this, where we are creating groups, and in each group, or in every group, there's one advanced student, one semi-advanced, and one rookie. And we make the groups because we don't want the groups to be best friends. We want them to work as a team. And in real life, it's the same procedure. And it works better here. But if the students can make their own groups and working on projects, it's sometimes quite difficult.
So you choose like someone from managerial background, someone from designing and coding. So each of these components should be one group. Or how do you divide this? Like, or they just choose something?
In this case, the Barcamp style, we don't know the backgrounds. What we are doing is we give them a small sheet of paper and they have to do some tasks.
What about, did you give a topic? I mean, did you assign a topic to them?
Can you give example for
Yeah.
Yes.
For-
like,
what they
What
are
kind
doing?
of?
Here?
yeah.
Yeah.
Here. Okay. One topic, for example, is responsive design. Or another topic is JavaScript frameworks. Or another topic is HTML basics.
So they need to construct some kind of site there.
They need to create some basic knowledge
Yeah.
and some basic skills, and they do a training.
So you
And then the
bring
training
design.
can be to build up small site or something like that.
Train to themselves or train other students?
Train other students and themselves too.
Yes. So they need to study some certain topics, and then they need to teach to other students.
Yeah. In this case, we are creating topics by, we have some cases, maybe making a website responsible or increasing the SEO for a website. And the students have, in the first lesson, there are a group with 12 people, with 12 students. Each group has one case study, and they have to work out what are the skills I have to have in order to solve that problem. And we put these topics on whiteboard, and then we create the topics for the teams.
Okay, so according to the program, we have a panel discussion, okay? Can I ask you, Peter and Pete, to come here and discussion topic is role of the journalist in and modern requirements. Actually, what we have heard from today's presentations. So the role of the journalist is changing, right? And not only journalists, but communication specialists. And if I understand correctly, from what Christian is teaching his students, these are mostly engineers, right? But you have added this media part.
Yes.
And here from the journalism side, we see that we need more technical skills to learn, right? I mean, maybe, and we need some combination for the future journalists of these both fields, if I understand correctly, right? So, how we should do it? What are the challenges to achieve that? And how the history, how the tradition of teaching or having courses, whatever you have in Europe, okay, is a barrier, or how you change it, okay? Maybe this should be the topic of the discussion. Maybe we can start from you.
Okay. Well, let's say I already pointed to that in my introduction. That is, before you know what is firstly needed, and I talk a little bit also from data journalism, but the first thing you needed is elementary computer skills. I have one example. I was in a training, and it was a journalist coming in with a brand new laptop, Windows 8 on it, with those tiles. And then they had to download a spreadsheet from my site to do some exercises. And then she came to me and said, "Where is the spreadsheet?" I said, "Well, it must be on your computer because you downloaded it." And then she said, "Where is that?" I said, "Well, you should have a download folder, and there it should be in." "Oh, do I have a download folder?" "Yeah, please. If you don't know that, then you are in trouble." So a lot of those basic skills, how to handle a machine, and have confidence in yourself to do that. Being able to install software. This is a big point. We are talking about security. I come into a newsroom, and I said, "Well, we're going to do some scraping, and you have to install, let's say, Outwit Hub, that's one, or Refine, or whatever." First answer is always, "We are not allowed to install software." He said, "Where are you working? This is not a prison. This is supposed to be a newsroom, so it should be open." Those technicians, those IT guys, they are, of course, afraid, and they are looking at security issues. But you should be able to solve that. First, you should be able to talk to an administrator and convince him that that software is important. And secondly, the administrator should have confidence in the user that he or she can install simple software on his machine and be responsible for that. And that means that you have elementary skills on the machine. Then, when you go to in fact, publishing news, I would say that basic HTML skills. You should know how web pages are built, what the most important ideas about designing are, and you should be able to read code. That is, you should be able to understand when you see HTML code, what is it? And also JavaScript. You don't have to be able to run, but you should be recognized that, oh, this is JavaScript, that makes it interactive with other, and you can download. So you should be able to understand what actually is happening. Therefore, these skills are important. These are, in my opinion, basic computer skills. Then a little bit further, software is changing very, very fast. And you could train people every month in new software programs. I think this is a waste of time. You should be able to train yourself in new software.
And how you're doing that in your...
Well, having computer skills, that means that you are able to install those software on your machine.
There is nothing to add to it. I mean, how you motivate a student to become a self-learner, to be motivated to just go and find new, software?
No, but what you
I
do,
don't
of
know.
course, as a journalist, you are on Twitter, you are on Facebook, you are on whatever kind of mailing lists, and you follow the discussion. And suddenly
This
you
is
will.
required for students.
Yeah,
Is
of
it?
course. Yeah, well, I forgot that.
Yeah.
But that's also one of the skills that you are on the internet and that you are active following discussions and take part in discussions. I'm not very active on Twitter, but what I follow on Twitter is that someone is saying, "Oh, there's a new tool on visualizing this and that," or there is a new trick for scraping or something. Then there's a link to that. Well, you should follow the link. And if there's software involved, install it and look at it. And then determine whether it's useful for you or not. But you should be able to do that. Once you understand the basics of computers and of software, it's not so difficult anymore. Well, sometimes some basic programming, but now I'm going a little bit further. Some basic programming is nice to know. For example, when you are scraping, and you have to build a scraper yourself completely. There are examples in Scraper Wiki, for example. Well, in the discussion, everybody is on data journalism is referring, for example, to Scraper Wiki. Well, if you've never seen it, you go there. Once you are on Scraper Wiki, you see that people are using small software programs to scrape data. Well, you can have a look at it. You can use their scrapers and try to refine it and use it for your own goals. But generally, these things are written in Ruby or in Python. I do Python, some others were. Ruby, it's over there, yes. So, so you should know a little bit about it. Subtraction, you have trouble. Well, this is at elementary school. But most journalists have forgotten that. And they don't know. So you should train them again in numeracy. And know how to do it. Excel is one thing, but Excel is not so difficult. The problem is more that they don't know anything about numbers.
Pete, maybe you want to add something for this?
Add something to this? You think I'm crazy? Well, I think journalists are very fond of numbers. They don't know how to calculate, actually. It's not the same. Well, I have a somewhat different approach. If I could start a school of journalism or a school of media from scratch, we move to a different building, I hire new staff, I only admit students that I like, who can do calculations, and are on the internet. I would have a list of what I would want to have, what kind of place I want to have, what kind of computers I want, what kind of students. But actually we're not in that situation. We are in an existing school, and we can try several things. One thing is change the curriculum totally. You do something totally different from scratch on. The other thing is changing things within the curriculum, because changing the curriculum is extremely hard. You cannot do that overnight. You have to. So my question would be, all the three of us showed things into the digital future. The common thing is that we think of media as a digital platform. Actually, we don't think in broadcast or paper that much anymore. It's more a secondary medium. And we think of students who are very well trained in digital skills, and we have a journalistic idea. Then I would ask you, well, is your school that you are working now or that you are attending is up to that level, or is it approaching there, or do you want to go there? Is it a sort of future you see yourself in? So it's not a question of from you to me, it's a question of me to you. How good is this school, and where do you want to go?
I'm from Jumpstart, Georgia. You may know the work we do with Canada Info and other interactive graphics back here in Georgia.
I can see you better if I stand up. So.
We are, I think, one of the only organizations actively seeking journalists who know these skills, who have these skills. And we somebody asked, you know, like, what motivates people to become self-learners? That's the question. And the future that you showed so well using data in terms of what people are looking for, I can tell you what we're looking for. And we need people that are willing to teach themselves new skills because we don't always know what you're going to need to do to find and uncover a story and then to communicate that story to the public. I can tell you that if you don't know how to use a spreadsheet, we won't hire you. And if you're not able to stand up and like actively find data, pursue data, or figure out how to collect or create that data, we probably won't hire you either. So if you're, I think if you're looking for a future in journalism where you want to actually receive money, I think the prospect of not being able to find a job because what employers are looking for, you don't have the skills, I think that should be a self-motivation that, but this is the reality. Even in Georgia, this is changing. I mean, yes, you can go into traditional print, but people don't want that anymore. They want a combination of things that tell stories that are engaging, or that communicate to people on a variety of levels. And traditional print is really, it doesn't cut it. It just doesn't cut it anymore by itself. Not that it doesn't have a place, but it's just not, I don't think what people want anymore. So I would say, you gotta learn the skills if you want to get hired, at least if you want us to hire you. And it's important that you know how to teach yourself. I think one of the things I've learned about joining schools when people leave them, and hopefully this might, incorporate this sort of this issue into your new curriculum, is my experience is that a lot of times Georgians, when they graduate the university, they are not taught to teach themselves. They're not taught basic methodologies of research, because when you graduate from school, like, if we were to hire you, you would have to learn briefly, like, okay, this isn't. We want to do a story in economics, or what is economics? Okay, I forgot. I know where to go to freshen up, and I need to get this data on, let's say, the impact of tax revenue decreases on the state budget over the long term.
But if you talk in terms of education, that would mean not a fixed program. We have economics here, we have technical skills, but you would expect students to work in small groups, do projects. But if you want to be people self-learning, that is quite a burden on the educational institution, because that would actually mean a totally turnaround of the way we are in school now.
But I mean, school at university, for example, you should have a background in research.
I don't say we don't have to do it, but it's not easy. You have a comment on that?
Because Khan Academy, therefore, website, there is one guy who was starting from learning his cousins from using videos, and then he was uploading these videos on YouTube, and now he has an academy where you can learn mathematics, for example, from first grade to linear algebra. And now I'm watching linear algebra there because my professor is not explaining well enough for me to understand, and I'm watching their videos. Also, because this academy is based on web, it is more interactive. You can train, for example, addition and subtraction, and to become good at math and numbers. Also, there are lots of good stuff to learn. For example, Coursera. Professors from, for example, Stanford and MIT are reading their lectures, and you can learn from there. It's completely free. If you know, you need just to search how to, and then what you are interested in.
But that's the case. You have to know how to search.
It's very simple.
But my point would be not that you go online to learn that. My point would be, what I like is the guy who invented that, actually. Because that's also something like make your own media, build your own platform. If you want to apply for a job, you can say, okay, I made this, I built this, I can do this. And if we still think that you can go to an employer and say, here's my diploma, hire me. This is old school. And I'm not sure if it's going to happen here. Maybe there are, and it's not impossible, but it's a vanishing model. Website, it costs 200 euros. I can make the design myself, spend 4 days on it, and it's crap. So why? And I think somebody in Brazil built it for 200 euros. What do I care? So there are skills everywhere, but you have to be very creative in getting those skills from other places and working in small teams and teach yourself like that. So it's not the skills, it's the way you acquire skills. Because the skills you have in year 1, in year 4, the software has changed, the platform has changed. I think the world changes very quickly, too quickly for I thought I'd give a short answer, and I'm talking for half an hour.
I think big question is who is the editor? If we say that journalists must be Superman, so we need Superman.
Yes.
Who choose directions? Who can see what is good, what is bad? Yes, because somebody must give direction to journalists, but somebody must choose which platform they need or which website they need in future, and he must know how to plan this, how to organize work, and so he need to know more about technology than journalists. So I think the idea of our course is not only to give new skills to journalists, but to find, I would say, new profession. Because in years, in 2, 3, 5 years, I think most of Georgian media companies will go further on internet, in mobile technologies, and they need somebody who can choose the right direction. Because also the variety of price are very big. It depends which technology you choose. Yes, you can make same thing in 100 euros and same thing in 100 euros if you buy a server and put on your office, or how to rent server somewhere in the United States. So all this depends. So
No, but let me something add to that. Let's take a media company, they are, or just a company that is selling something, right? They want to sell the product, so they have to set up an advertisement campaign. Okay, so they are looking for someone who could do that, who have the skills, who can set in social networks for advertising, how to put advertising on blogs and that kind of thing. Okay, but what is important is that someone who comes from this university, he is on the labor market, and he should have the skills and also the attitude to find positions, to find jobs. Say, hey, I know something about social media, I know something about social network, I have some computer skills. Hey, this company is now hiring a guy who could set up an advertising campaign. This student says, this is interesting. I have read something about social networks, and in social networks you have some key persons, central persons. He could say, I don't know anything, but I want to have this position, right? So he applies for this position and comes up with a complete plan to do a social network analysis and identify the persons who are very central. Then what he should do is, first he should look at the market. What is the market demanding? Secondly, he should determine his own position, and thirdly, he should be able to fill the gaps in his knowledge and say, okay, I want to do social analysis, okay, I'm going to study that. And there are lots of courses on the web to do that. You don't have to go into the linear algebra, to do social network analysis. That's too far away.
Christian, can I ask you? Christian, so you said that this engineering and media course is the best course in the university, right?
Yes, because it's my course.
Yeah.
Very good.
And probably because and you just provide an evidence because drop-off rate is smaller, and the more people would graduate from the, and more people would stay in this program, right? why it is so, I just wonder, okay? Because it has a media component in it, because, you know, engineering, being an engineer or programmer only, you know, is there the same kind of crisis in engineering program like we have in journalism? Do I understand correctly?
I think so. First of all, another thing. I think you are in a quite good position because we are running several websites and we have a lot of technicians or engineers or computer scientists, and they know how to calculate. They can use APIs and they can convert data, but they have no stories. Yeah, and no one visits the website because it has a funky navigation, yeah, or because it's responsible. A designer visits the website because it's responsible, but the other people are visiting websites because there are stories, because the content is
That's a different angle.
and that's a quite different angle.
Yeah.
We have a similar approach. We have a lot of people, we have a media perspective, and we want to give them more technical skills and knowledge to create media, to create tools, and to talk to people who create tools in the right language. I think one basic question, or one fundamental question here, and it's a question for us too, should you are able to work with tools, or should you be able to create tools? And that's different. And another more technical issue, at the moment, the big thing are frameworks and APIs. No one codes JavaScript, for example, core. Everyone uses a framework. Is it okay or is it not okay? For us, as a computer scientist, it's not okay. But maybe in your case, it's very okay to say, okay, JavaScript core doesn't matter. We use frameworks and we know what framework is necessary, and we can create very quick things.
Okay. So, yeah,
Maybe,
Lilo, just jump
I'm
in.
just wondering, is a journalist could be any more like a self-completing profession, or say honestly, no one can be a Superman. So it means that we all need to have some team, some company. You can have a great idea of a story. You can use different medium for telling the story part, but for creating multimedia, interactive, final product, you need some assistance of from outside. So it means that now it's time to working in a teams.
Sure.
Definitely. You need teams, I think.
Yeah, we do some research on data visualization, which means you always have a data specialist, a journalist, and a designer. At least 3 people in one team. The problem is that it's actually pretty expensive because you have to put these people together, they have to meet, then you have to go back on the proposal. So it takes a week or 2 weeks to come up with something. For many media, this is actually too expensive. You cannot afford having 3 people working for 2 weeks on the project. So, and there is a lot of waste because people don't speak the same language. You know, if you, the designer always thinks of a beautiful design, of colors, and the journalist thinks of totally different things. And then everybody's working on it 3 days, and after 3 days you come back and, I didn't mean this. So, okay, we throw it away. But okay, throw 3 days works away for 3 people. That's something you cannot. So we are now trying to think of how can you work more flexible, you know? How can you use the knowledge of people? So we said we have to work more together in the beginning to know exactly what we're talking about, make some sort of a sketch. We found out that a sketch you make in the first 2 days is the most important thing. That gives sense to the whole project. If you don't think about it right, you probably have to change it all again after 1 week. So you have to be very flexible to work in the beginning and make sure that everybody is on the same line here. And then you can be well, you have to speak the same language. You have the basic knowledge. I agree with Peter. You have to have the basic knowledge about designing, data scraping, but you don't have to be a specialist. That is a waste of time to do that. But you need other people.